Step away from the console, ma'am. Now! The colonel's voice rang out, sharp and certain. But she didn't move. She placed one hand on the biometric lock, the other on the old rifle case, and the security system responded with a sound none of them had heard in years. Override accepted. Morrison lineage authenticated. Project Silent Accuracy reactivated. One by one, every screen in the command center turned red, sirens flared, weapons locked. Someone reached for a sidearm, but it was already too late. The range had acknowledged its true owner. No one was laughing now. So, who was this woman they'd just mocked in front of the entire base? Where are you watching from? Comment below. This is Veteran Biker. Subscribe now, because today's story wasn't supposed to happen. You want to what? Colonel Bradford Vaughan's voice cut through the quiet buzz of the Coronado Officers Club like a blade. Heads turned, forks paused mid-air. Coffee cups froze inches from lips. Across the polished wooden floor, standing in civilian slacks and a fitted windbreaker, a woman in her early 40s met his gaze without flinching. "I'd like to request supervised access to precision point range," she said calmly. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. "For 1 hour." Colonel Vaughan blinked slowly, his mouth curling into something that might have been a smirk if it hadn't dripped with such disdain. "That range is reserved for active SEAL operators," he said, "and certified personnel. You are?" "Marina Reyes." A pause, a flicker of interest, faint. "And what exactly qualifies you, Ms. Reyes, to walk in here and request access to a classified training ground?" She said nothing at first. Instead, she reached down and unclipped the worn leather rifle case hanging from her shoulder. Gently, she placed it on the registration desk. Her movements were calm, deliberate. A few more officers were watching now, not openly, but with that trained peripheral attention honed by years in the field. Marina rested her hand on the biometric pad embedded in the case's clasp. Fingerprint override initiated. The case chirped. A flash of dull red light scanned across her palm. Then something happened. The low-grade security monitor next to the desk blinked. The blue interface vanishes, replaced by stark white text against a black field. "Legacy Tier Delta Prime." Confirmed, the room fell silent. Colonel Vaughan took half a step forward, eyes narrowing. "What the hell is this?" The case let out a soft hiss and opened. Inside, nestled in precision-cut foam, lay an M400, a 5-bolt action sniper rifle. Immaculate, cleaned, maintained like a relic. Below it, a hand-inked range logbook, a collapsible spotting scope, ear protection, a folded microfiber cloth, and a single photograph of a woman in uniform, eyes sharp, hair tied tight, insignia half-shadowed by sun. The name tag was legible. "Lieutenant D. Morrison, that's my mother," Marina said quietly. "She was buried with honors, but most of her record doesn't exist on paper." A few younger SEALs exchanged glances. Vaughan's tone sharpened. "Even if she was military, which I'll need to verify, you still haven't explained why you think we should allow this. We're not a museum. This isn't a tour. I'm not here for nostalgia, Colonel." Her voice didn't rise, but something in it turned the air colder. "Today is the anniversary of her final mission. I've trained alone for years to carry on what she taught me. 1 hour, one weapon, supervised conditions." She looked past him to the hallway that led to range control. "I want to fire 5 rounds in her name." "Unbelievable," Vaughan muttered. "You think that speech is supposed to move me? There are operators in this building with confirmed kills in 4 countries. A NDU," he gestured with open contempt. "You come in here with an heirloom and a bedtime story." Behind the desk, a second monitor blinked. Captain Miles Foster had been watching from across the room, mug of black coffee in hand. He placed it down, eyes now narrowed on the override string running across the screen. "She didn't initiate that clearance," he said aloud. Vaughn turned sharply. "What?" Foster pointed. "The system authenticated her, automatically. It matched legacy data. That shouldn't even be possible on our local net." Marina locked eyes with Vaughn. "You asked for qualifications. The system just gave you one." The room teetered on the edge of something. Tension, skepticism, curiosity. And then, as if pushed by an invisible hand, Vaughn leaned forward and sneered. "Fine," he said. "Let's give the ghost a show." 20 minutes later, the group gathered at Precision Point Range. The California morning was crisp, the wind barely brushing the tops of the ridges. The range stretched out across the base like a dry riverbed, 25 meters to 800, steel silhouettes gleaming against low brush. Captain Foster had taken over logistics. Vaughn stood nearby with arms folded, jaw tight. Marina stepped into lane 3, crosswinds negligible, humidity low. Eyes scanned her, quiet, skeptical, half dismissive. No one expected much. She knelt, opened the case, removed the rifle. It wasn't modern, it wasn't sleek, it was familiar. And when she lay down behind it, her movements were practiced, liquid even, the kind that didn't come from weekend ranges or YouTube tutorials. Single fire, iron sight, unsupported prone. 5 rounds, Foster called. She nodded once, ready, silence. She breathed in, held, exhaled halfway. Crack! The shot rang out, clean and centered. Through his scope, Foster saw the target bloom. Bullseye, center mass, a murmur. Crack! Crack, crack, crack. 5 shots in total. Foster turned to Vaughn, disbelief written plainly across his face. Rounding 1 inch. That's above expert tier. Colonel Vaughn said nothing. Marina stood, reloaded slowly. "Permission to continue, sir?" she asked calmly. Vaughn didn't respond, but Foster did, switching to 300 meters. Behind them, a SEAL muttered, "No way." Marina knelt again. The wind had picked up. This time, just slightly, she missed. Shot 2 drifted 3 centimeters off center, and Vaughn pounced. There it is. Luck always runs dry, but Marina didn't answer. She adjusted. 3 more shots. Dead center. The last one snapped so fast it hadn't even echoed before Foster called it. Groupings confirmed. Yuandanang Chanda half. From the control tower, another officer spoke into a headset. "We've got a flag on the override data. Remote alert triggered. This range session's being monitored. Pentagon side." Vaughn spun. "What?" The officer held up a tablet. "Sir, she didn't just open a range file. She activated a dormant clearance package. Someone just got pinged in DC." Marina stood and slung the rifle across her back. "I didn't come here for recognition," she said. She looked at Vaughn. "But you'll remember this morning, Colonel. Not because of me, but because your system remembered her." She walked past him, and behind her the buzz began. Low, electric, unstoppable. Something old had been reawakened, something the Navy thought it buried, and it had come back with a pulse. The helicopter's rotors sliced through the crisp morning air above Naval Station Coronado, scattering a cloud of dust that swirled around the perimeter of Precision Point Range. Marina Reyes kept her gaze fixed on the rugged hills framing the far end of the firing lanes, the silence of anticipation pressing against her chest as heavily as the rifle resting beside her. The crowd that had gathered along the observation points was a mix of curiosity and restrained respect. SEAL operators who had scoffed only hours before now found themselves exchanging uncertain glances. Even Colonel Bradford Vaughn stood silently at the edge of the control tower, his usual bravado replaced by a tight jaw and watchful eyes. Captain Miles Foster approached Marina quietly, clipboard in hand, but his tone was unusually subdued. "This morning's demonstration has triggered security protocols at a level I've never seen activated outside direct Pentagon command," Foster said. his eyes scanning the rifle case that lay open, its contents meticulously arranged as though prepared for a battlefield, not a memorial. Marina nodded. "I didn't ask for this to happen," she said softly, her voice carrying an edge of calm defiance. "I just wanted to honor my mother." Foster's lips pressed into a thin line. "Your mother's legacy is bigger than any of us imagined, and now you're standing at the center of it." Behind them, murmurs grew as Admiral Carolyn Wells stepped off the helicopter, her silver hair catching the sunlight like a banner of authority. The Admiral's gaze swept the range with practiced precision, finally settling on Marina with an intensity that both unsettled and anchored the moment. "Miss Reyes," Wells said, her voice carrying effortlessly over the din of whispered conversations. "Your demonstration has been reviewed and discussed at the highest levels. You represent a lineage and capability that this nation cannot ignore." Marina swallowed past a lump in her throat. "I am not here to take anything from anyone. I want to prove myself worthy." Wells smiled faintly, a mixture of respect and something softer threading through her stern expression. "Your mother, Diana Morrison, was more than a sniper. She was a cornerstone of an elite program we believed was lost. Until today." The words hung in the air like a verdict. Nearby, Master Chief Stephanie Cross emerged from the shadows of the control tower. Her presence commanded immediate attention, the weight of decades of combat and training evident in her posture. "I knew Diana," Cross said quietly, stepping beside Marina. "She was a legend, and you carry more than her name. You carry her precision, her discipline, and her heart." Marina met Cross's eyes, feeling a mixture of pride and the weight of impossible expectations. "Now," Cross continued, "we need to see how far you're willing to go." Minutes later, the range was cordoned off, and the atmosphere shifted from casual observation to a formal evaluation. Foster outlined the parameters. 5 rounds at 300 meters, he announced. "Unsupported prone. Iron sights. The wind will be a factor. Consider this your true test." Marina lowered herself to the firing position, the familiar ache of focused readiness washing over her. She checked her equipment methodically, the scope, the bolt action, the sling, each movement practiced and precise. The coastal breeze teased the range flags, their motion a silent metronome of challenge. Her breath settled into the rhythm passed down through generations. Inhale, hold, half exhale, squeeze. The first shot cracked sharply, the echo a sharp punctuation in the stillness. Foster's binoculars tracked the bullet's arc with rapt attention. The bullet struck dead center. A murmur rippled through the assembled crowd. The second shot rang out but landed slightly to the right, 3 centimeters from the bullseye. A ripple of surprise mixed with tension spread. Colonel Vaughan's lips curled into a sardonic smile. "There it is," he muttered. "Luck has its limits." Marina didn't flinch. She adjusted her aim, recalibrated her breathing. This was no failure. It was a calculated risk, a test of environment and skill. 3 more shots followed in swift succession, each one finding the black center with near-perfect precision. Foster lowered his binoculars slowly, group size under 1.5 inches. Exceptional. Beyond sniper qualification standards, the room fell silent. Even Vaughan's smug expression faltered under the weight of undeniable skill. Then, a crackling voice over the radio pierced the silence. "Range control to command. Override clearance activated. Remote alert sent to Pentagon security. Legacy tier access confirmed." Eyes turned sharply to the radio operator, who furiously typed commands. Foster's face darkened. "This isn't just a firing demonstration anymore." Vaughan's glare snapped toward Marina. "What did you do?" Marina met his gaze evenly. "I didn't do anything. The system did." The atmosphere shifted. The quiet respect that had begun to build now turned electric with uncertainty and awe. Admiral Wells stepped forward again. Ms. Reyes, you have reactivated a dormant protocol tied to your family's legacy. This changes everything. Marina's breath caught as she absorbed the weight of the moment. Behind the Admiral, the older man with the notebook, once hidden in the shadows, stepped into the light. I was the lead trainer for your mother, he said quietly, voice heavy with history. I must ensure her daughter receives what she deserves. Marina felt a rush of emotions. Pride, fear, responsibility, all tangled together like the ancient lineage she carried. What happens now? She asked. Wells's eyes held hers steadily. Now you decide. The wind whispered through the valley, carrying the scent of salt and pine. The future stretched out before Marina Reyes, uncertain, daunting, but hers to claim, and for the first time she felt ready. The conference room was a sterile sanctuary from the turmoil swirling through Marina's mind. Soft humming from monitors and quiet whispers filled the air, yet none of it distracted her focus. Before her, a digital dossier unfurled on the main screen. Mission logs, encrypted messages, covert photographs, and operational blueprints that had never been meant for civilian eyes. Admiral Carolyn Wells stood beside the display, her gaze firm yet compassionate. The lines carved by decades of command softened slightly as she addressed Marina directly. This, Ms. Reyes, is the history you were kept from. The true story behind Diana Morrison. The woman you knew as your mother was only one facet of her remarkable existence. Marina's hands clenched the arms of her chair. A cold swell rose in her chest, part pride, part mourning. Her entire life had been shadowed by unanswered questions, by a silence so complete it felt like an absence etched into her very bones. Admiral Wells gestured, and the screen shifted to grainy black and white footage from long ago. A figure moved with uncanny precision in a desert landscape, rifle raised, eyes scanning, calm as the shifting sands. Your mother was among the elite founders of Project Silent Accuracy, Wells explained, her voice steady and weighted. This program was conceived in the early 2000s as a clandestine initiative to cultivate the world's most exceptional marksmen, capable of precision strikes in environments beyond the reach of traditional forces. Its operatives operated under the strictest secrecy, their missions classified at levels even you were not cleared to know. Marina stared, captivated and overwhelmed. The woman in the footage was unmistakably Diana Morrison, her mother, but here she was more than a soldier. She was a legend forged in the shadows. Wells paused, then continued. Her disappearance, reported as a tragic loss in the field, was in truth a protective measure. She was extracted to maintain the program's secrecy and to shield her from enemies who sought to exploit her unmatched skills. The room fell heavy with the weight of hidden sacrifices. Marina's breath caught in her throat as she grappled with the cruel distance imposed by secrets meant to protect, but that had orphaned her in a different way. Master Chief Stephanie Cross entered the room, her footsteps measured, presence commanding. Her voice carried the authority of a mentor who had known the mother and recognized the daughter's burgeoning potential. I've monitored Marina's recent evaluations, Cross said plainly. Her skills mirror those of Diana Morrison in her prime. In fact, Marina's abilities show growth beyond what the program's original architects envisioned. She is poised to undertake advanced training. Marina swallowed hard, heart pounding. Advanced training? What will it involve? Cross stepped closer, placing a hand on a secure tablet glowing with classified data. You will engage in an intensive program designed to hone your technical skill, sharpen your mental acuity, and develop leadership qualities necessary for high-stakes operations. Her gaze locked with Marina's. This path is demanding, lonely, and fraught with peril. Your mother embraced it fully. You must be ready to do the same. Marina's jaw set with quiet resolve. The promise of a future forged from shadow and skill beckoned. and for the first time she felt prepared to answer its call. Outside the windows, the Pacific breeze carried whispers of old battles and the faint scent of salt and pine. The legacy of Morrison was stirring once more. The room seemed to contract around Marina as the full weight of her mother's legacy settled on her shoulders. She studied the images flickering on the screen, the dossiers, the battle reports, and the faded photographs that painted a picture far more complex than any childhood memory had prepared her for. Admiral Wells cleared her throat softly. Project Silent Accuracy was never just about marksmanship. It was about creating operatives who could think like a weapon, who could control chaos with precision and silence. Marina's eyes narrowed, absorbing every word. I always knew she was more than what they told us, but I never imagined this. Cross nodded, her expression somber. Diana was meticulous. Every shot calculated, every breath controlled, every moment lived on the razor's edge between life and death. You've inherited not just her skills, but her mindset. That is what the program recognized today. There was a pause. The digital clock on the wall ticked quietly, marking the relentless passage of time. Foster broke the silence. Marina, the next phase is rigorous. You will undergo physical conditioning, tactical training, advanced weapons handling, and psychological endurance tests. He glanced at Vaughn, who was watching Marina with a mix of skepticism and grudging respect. But this is not a recruitment. It's an invitation to reclaim a legacy that has been dormant for too long. It's a chance to step into a role your mother prepared you for, whether you knew it or not. Marina took a deep breath, the metallic taste of anticipation filling her mouth. I want to be ready, she said firmly, not just to honor her memory, but to prove that the Morrison legacy is alive. Cross smiled faintly. That's the spirit that made Diana Morrison the legend she is. You have her fired. Suddenly the room's atmosphere shifted as a secure line buzzed on Wells's console. She glanced at the display and pressed a button. This is Admiral Wells. I'm here. A shadowed figure appeared on the screen, a woman with eyes sharp and calculating. Admiral, the Pentagon has been monitoring the range activity. Your approval is required to proceed with the enhanced protocol. Wells nodded. Permission granted. Prepare to initiate. Marina watched as layers of security protocols began to unlock, digital seals dissolving and classified documents becoming accessible. The past was opening, and the future was calling. The encrypted files continued to roll across the screen. Debriefings, personnel evaluations, covert mission briefs, all layered with the unmistakable signature of Diana Morrison. Marina's fingers hovered over the table, tracing invisible lines between the dots of a past she'd only glimpsed in fragments. Admiral Wells stepped closer, lowering her voice. Your mother's work shaped the way we approach precision operations today, but the cost was high. She disappeared not by accident, but by design. To protect those missions and the people involved, Marina's heart ached. The mother she lost wasn't just a casualty of war, she was a ghost bound by duty and silence. And now, Wells said, it's your turn to step into that silence, armed with what you've inherited and what you've earned. Cross reached out, placing a firm hand on Marina's shoulder. You're not alone. We'll train you, prepare you, and when you're ready, you'll lead a new generation. Marina's eyes met theirs, steel meeting steel. I won't let the legacy die, whatever it takes. Vaughn cleared his throat awkwardly from the corner, breaking the moment. And what about the risks? This isn't just training, it's a return to shadows where mistakes cost lives. Wells fixed him with a cold stare, and ignoring the legacy costs us all more. The room hummed with quiet agreement. Marina stood, the weight of choice settling like armor around her. Outside, the sea breeze whispered through the base, carrying the promise of battles fought in silence and the hope of those yet to come. The path forward was unclear, but one thing was certain: The Morrison legacy was far from over. The following days at Naval Station Coronado marked a turning point in Marina Reyes's life, one she had long anticipated but never fully prepared for. The air around the base seemed charged with expectation, a silent acknowledgement that something extraordinary was unfolding beneath the routine bustle of military operations. Marina's mornings began before dawn, the cold air biting as she jogged along the coastline with Captain Foster and Master Chief Cross matching her pace. The physical training was rigorous, designed not merely to build endurance, but to sharpen the reflexes and mental discipline vital for the elite marksman she was becoming. Marksmanship isn't just about hitting a target, Cross reminded her one morning, voice steady over the sound of their synchronized breathing. It's about knowing yourself, controlling your body, and mastering every variable you can't control. Marina nodded, muscles burning but spirit undeterred. She carried the memory of her mother's lessons like a talisman, each step a silent promise to honor the legacy entrusted to her. Back at the base, the shooting range had transformed. What once was a quiet training ground now buzzed with activity. A select group of operators gathered for specialized instruction, their eyes occasionally flicking toward Marina with a mixture of curiosity and respect. One afternoon, as Marina prepared her rifle under Foster's watchful gaze, a group of younger SEALs approached. Among them was Corporal Danielle Reed, who stepped forward hesitantly. "Ma'am," Reed began, her voice tinged with awe, "we've been hearing stories about you, about your mother. What's it like carrying that kind of history?" Marina met her gaze, sensing the weight of unspoken questions. "It's a responsibility," she said simply. "Not a burden, but a call. Every shot I take, every moment I train, is to ensure the sacrifices of those before me were not in vain." The room grew quiet, the unspoken respect filling the space. That evening, Marina found herself alone in the dim light of her quarters, the silence pressing in. She opened the worn leather case, fingers tracing the contours of the rifle as if seeking answers within the cold metal. A soft chime from her tablet broke the silence, a secure message from Admiral Wells. "We've secured clearance for your advanced tactical training. Begin preparations. The next phase will test not just your skills, but your resolve." Marina exhaled slowly, steeling herself for the unknown. The next morning, the training commenced with a briefing in the underground facility, known simply as the Vault. The room was stark, illuminated by cold fluorescent lights that cast sharp shadows across rows of high-tech equipment and weaponry. Admiral Wells addressed the gathered operatives, her voice echoing with authority. "Silent accuracy is evolving. Marina Reyes will be the first to undergo the new program, designed to push the limits of precision and mental endurance. Success here will redefine operational capabilities." Marina listened intently as the scope of the program unfolded: psychological simulations, long-range marksmanship under extreme conditions, tactical decision-making drills, and endurance tests that would push her to the edge. Her first challenge was a simulation designed to mimic hostile urban environments, where every shot carried the weight of life-or-death decisions. The room filled with holographic projections of shifting targets, civilians and adversaries, all moving unpredictably. Marina steadied her breathing, her mind racing through calculations of trajectory, wind and time. Each trigger pull was deliberate, a dance of precision and control. The simulation ended with a debrief. Foster nodded approvingly. "You handled the chaos well, but there's room to tighten your reflexes. Anticipate unpredictability, and your hits become inevitable." Marina absorbed the critique, her determination sharpening. Days blurred into weeks as the training intensified. Mental exercises tested her focus. Physical drills demanded resilience, and tactical lessons challenged her strategic thinking. Through it all, Marina forged bonds with her instructors and peers, relationships built on mutual respect and the shared burden of excellence. One evening, Cross pulled Marina aside during a rare moment of respite. "There's something you need to know," she said quietly, her gaze serious. "Your mother left more than a legacy of skills. She left a warning." Marina frowned. "A warning?" Cross nodded. "The program you're stepping into is a double-edged sword. Its power attracts attention from enemies and allies alike. You'll need to guard not just your aim, but your trust." The weight of the words settled deep within Marina. The path she had chosen was as perilous as it was honorable. Meanwhile, whispers of Marina's progress began to ripple beyond the base. Rumors of a prodigy rising from the shadows stirred interest and unease within the Pentagon's higher echelons. One afternoon, Admiral Wells convened a secure video conference with key officials. "Marina Reyes embodies the future of silent accuracy," Wells stated firmly. "Her potential must be cultivated with care. She is both an asset and a symbol, one that could shift the balance of covert operations worldwide." A senior official leaned forward. "Are there risks in exposing her identity?" Wells hesitated briefly. "We mitigate risks through compartmentalization and strict operational protocols. But yes, the greater the skill, the greater the target." The conversation ended with a shared understanding. Marina's journey was no longer hers alone. It was entwined with the nation's shadow wars and fragile peace. That night, Marina stood on the base's overlook, the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean shimmering beneath the moonlight. The cool breeze whispered through her hair as memories of her mother's voice echoed softly. "You carry more than a rifle," Diana had said once. "You carry a legacy of silence and sacrifice. Use it wisely." Marina closed her eyes, drawing strength from the past and the promise of what was to come. The legacy was awakening. And she was ready. Marina awoke to the cold clang of the training facility's early morning bell, the harsh echo bouncing off steel walls and concrete floors. The air was sterile, yet filled with the weight of history and expectation that had become her new reality. She dressed swiftly, her movements precise and purposeful. Today was different. The next phase of training was about to begin, one that would test not just her skills but her very resolve. In the briefing room, Captain Foster awaited with a grim smile. "You're ready for live fire exercises," he announced. "We've set up a complex scenario designed to push your abilities to their limits." Marina nodded, the familiar adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Let's begin." The live-fire course sprawled across a simulated urban landscape, a labyrinth of concrete corridors, shattered walls and shadowed alleyways. Targets, some hostile, others civilians, were scattered unpredictably throughout the maze, challenging shooters to distinguish friend from foe in split seconds. Master Chief Cross stood beside Marina, watching intently. "Remember, this isn't just about accuracy, it's about judgment, control, and restraint. Every shot counts." Marina adjusted her rifle sling, steadying her breath. The scent of gunpowder and dust filled the air as she stepped onto the course. Her first engagement was swift. A hostile target appeared through a broken window. She squeezed the trigger with controlled precision, the shot echoing sharply. Then came the chaos. A civilian appeared. Panicked and disoriented, Marina hesitated, forcing herself to suppress the instinct to fire. Cross's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Hold! Positive ID." The civilian disappeared into the shadows. Marina pressed on. As she navigated the maze, the line between threat and safety blurred. Hostiles emerged unpredictably, forcing her to adapt rapidly, balancing aggression with caution. Her heart pounded, but her mind remained razor-sharp. Completing the course, Marina emerged sweaty but triumphant. Foster greeted her with a nod of approval. "Excellent control under pressure. You've earned your place." That evening, in the solitude of her quarters, Marina reviewed footage of her run. Each decision, each shot dissected with clinical detail. She saw the moments of hesitation, the flashes of instinct, and the growing confidence that anchored her. A secure message arrived from Admiral Wells. "Tomorrow, psychological evaluation. Be prepared." Marina sighed. The mind was as much a battlefield as the range. The next day, Dr. Pierce awaited her in a stark chamber filled with monitors and biometric sensors. His eyes were sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses, and his presence exuded a calm intensity. "Marina," he greeted, "today we explore the resilience beneath your skill, the mental fortitude required for what lies ahead." The evaluation began with a series of stress simulations, virtual reality scenarios designed to provoke emotional, cognitive, and physiological responses. Marina was immersed in situations ranging from hostage negotiations to sniper cover under fire. Her reactions were monitored closely, the subtle fluctuations in heart rate, pupil dilation, and micro-expressions revealing depths beyond conscious control. Dr. Pierce observed thoughtfully, "Your responses indicate exceptional emotional regulation. You maintain focus where others would falter." Marina exhaled, the relief almost palpable. "But," he cautioned, "the training ahead will push you further. Your ability to balance detachment with empathy will be tested." The session ended with a quiet moment of reflection. "I understand," Marina said softly. "I want to carry this legacy with honor." Over the following weeks, Marina's schedule was relentless. Days filled with tactical drills, marksmanship refinement, and strategic planning. Nights spent studying intelligence reports and mission debriefs. She grew into her role, the line between student and operative blurring. One afternoon during a tactical exercise, Marina encountered a new instructor, Lieutenant Knox West. His reputation for exacting standards and sharp intellect preceded him. "Ms. Reyes," West said with a nod, "I've been reviewing your performance. Impressive, but we need to sharpen your adaptability under chaotic variables." He presented a scenario involving rapid environmental changes, a sudden storm reducing visibility, unexpected obstacles, and shifting enemy tactics. "Precision under static conditions is only part of the picture," he explained. "True excellence requires fluidity and anticipation." Marina listened intently, absorbing the challenge. The training intensified. She learned to read subtle cues, the faintest shift in wind direction, the almost imperceptible change in ambient sound, the nuanced movement of shadows. Her instincts honed sharper with each exercise. Late one evening, Marina sat with Cross and Foster in the quiet of the lounge, the soft glow of lamps casting long shadows. "Your progress is remarkable," Cross said, "but be mindful. This path is isolating. The weight of expectation can crush those who lose sight of themselves." Marina nodded thoughtfully. "I'm aware, but I'm not alone." Foster smiled, the first genuine warmth Marina had seen from him. "We're here with you. The legacy isn't just yours, it's ours to uphold." The three shared a moment of quiet solidarity. As the sun set over the Pacific, casting golden hues across the bay, Marina looked out toward the horizon. The journey ahead was daunting, the stakes higher than ever. But with each breath, each shot, each lesson learned, she moved closer to becoming the operative her mother had envisioned. The legacy of silent accuracy was alive, and it was hers to command. The days grew shorter, but the demands on Marina grew exponentially. Her training intensified beyond anything she had experienced before, both physically and mentally. Every morning she was pushed to the limits, not only to hone her marksmanship, but to sharpen her mind, to anticipate and adapt faster than anyone else on the field. Captain Foster was relentless. "Precision is nothing without agility," he said one morning during a grueling drill in simulated urban combat. You have to learn to think 10 steps ahead, to read the environment as much as the target. Marina wiped the sweat from her brow and nodded. The complexity of the course was staggering, moving targets, changing weather simulations, and civilians embedded in the chaos. It forced her to make split-second decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. After the drill, she sat in the debrief room with Master Chief Stephanie Cross. Cross was silent for a long moment before speaking. "You've got skill, Marina, but this program will test your soul, your resolve." Marina met her gaze without hesitation. "I'm ready for whatever comes." But Cross's expression was grave. "Good, because it's not just about hitting the target, it's about what you carry inside when you pull the trigger." Back in the quiet of her quarters, Marina found herself wrestling with memories she had long buried. Images of her mother, stern but loving, exacting but proud, flooded her mind. Diana Morrison's sacrifice was the invisible weight she carried with every shot fired. A message pinged on her secure tablet. It was from Admiral Wells. "Tomorrow you will meet with the psychological operations team. They'll prepare you for what's coming next." Marina exhaled slowly, the familiar tension knotting in her stomach. The next day, Marina was escorted to a stark, windowless chamber where Dr. Pierce awaited with a small team of specialists. They explained that she would undergo intensive psychological conditioning to fortify her mind against the strains of covert operations. Virtual reality simulations transported her into scenarios that blurred the lines between reality and illusion, hostage negotiations fraught with deception high, stakes infiltration missions where trust was a scarce commodity, and moments where she had to face the ghosts of past decisions. Each simulation was designed to expose her fears, to challenge her moral compass, and to test her emotional resilience. At times, Marina felt the walls closing in, the pressure mounting until she questioned her own capacity to endure. But with each trial, she found strength, not just in skill, but in purpose. Later, as she recounted her experiences to Admiral Wells and Master Chief Cross, Marina spoke with a clarity that surprised even herself. "This legacy isn't just about marksmanship," she said. "It's about integrity, discipline, and sacrifice. I want to be worthy of that." Wells nodded, her eyes reflecting years of hard-won wisdom. "You will be, Marina. You're already proving it." Word of Marina's progress continued to ripple through the base and beyond. Classified briefings in Washington referenced her as a key asset in the evolving landscape of special operations. Yet, amidst the growing acclaim, Marina remained grounded, focused on the task, on the training, and on the shadowed path that lay ahead. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Marina stood alone on the range, rifle in hand. The fading light cast long shadows, and the cool ocean breeze whispered promises of battles yet to come. She raised the rifle, aligning the iron sights with practiced ease, breather steady, heart calm, and with a soft squeeze she fired, a single shot echoing across the stillness. A legacy reborn. The training regimen pushed Marina to new extremes. Each day blurred into the next, a relentless march of precision drills, tactical exercises, and psychological endurance tests. Yet, despite the grind, Marina found herself growing stronger, her skills honed sharper, her resolve deepening like tempered steel. Master Chief Stephanie Cross had taken a particular interest in her progress, often appearing unannounced during exercises to offer quiet guidance or challenge her with unexpected scenarios. One afternoon, as Marina prepared for a long-range shoot, Cross approached, her eyes reflecting decades of battle-hardened wisdom. "You've mastered technique," she said softly. "Now it's time to master instinct." Marina raised an eyebrow. "Instinct? Isn't that something you're born with?" Cross smiled, a rare softness in her expression. "It's also something you learn to trust and to control Your instincts will be your greatest ally and your worst enemy if you let them." Marina nodded, absorbing the advice. The sun was high when Foster appeared, clipboard in hand. "We're moving to dynamic target drills today. You'll engage moving targets under simulated urban combat conditions. Accuracy isn't enough. You'll need to anticipate, adapt, and react on the fly." The challenge thrilled Marina and unsettled her in equal measure. The course was a sprawling mock cityscape, complete with narrow alleys, collapsed walls, and unpredictable obstacles. As Marina maneuvered through the maze, targets flickered in and out of sight. Some hostile, some civilians, others deceptive decoys. Her rifle felt like an extension of her arm as she tracked each target with meticulous care. But this was more than shooting. It was a dance of split-second decisions, gut instincts balanced with calm calculation. Suddenly, a target emerged from behind a crumbling wall. Marina fired, but as she squeezed the trigger, a civilian ran across her line of fire. Time seemed to slow. Her finger tensed, but she halted the shot. The civilian disappeared safely. Cross's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Good restraint. Every shot matters, but so does every life." Marina exhaled, heart pounding. This was the fine line she had to walk. Back in the debrief room, Foster reviewed the footage with the team. Marina's shooting was flawless, but it's her judgment that's evolved. The ability to suppress reflex and evaluate the situation, that's what sets her apart. Vaughn, watching quietly, gave a rare nod of approval. I underestimated her. Marina felt a surge of pride tempered by the knowledge that this was only the beginning. The evening brought unexpected news. Marina was summoned to a secure briefing with Admiral Wells and Master Chief Cross. Wells's expression was grave as she began. "Marina, your performance has attracted attention beyond Coronado. You're being considered for a classified operation, a mission that requires the skills you're developing." Marina's pulse quickened. "I'm ready," Cross added. "But the risks are unprecedented. This mission will test everything, your skill, your judgment, and your loyalty." Wells nodded. "You'll be given time to prepare, but know this, once you accept, there is no turning back." The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. Marina studied classified intelligence reports, familiarized herself with specialized equipment, and underwent rigorous simulations tailored to the upcoming mission. Dr. Pierce's psychological sessions intensified, focusing on resilience under isolation, decision-making under extreme stress, and managing moral ambiguity. Despite the pressure, Marina found solace in routine and the camaraderie of her instructors. One evening, as she reviewed her mother's old journal, a relic she'd kept close, a passage caught her eye. "Precision without purpose is just noise. A true marksman shoots with heart as much as with sight." Marina smiled faintly. The words felt like a bridge between past and future. On the eve of deployment, Marina stood on the base's overlook, gazing at the vast ocean stretching beyond the horizon. Admiral Wells joined her silently. "You carry more than a rifle," Wells said softly. "You carry the hopes of those who came before and the weight of those who will follow." Marina nodded. "I won't let them down." Wells placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "We believe in you." As darkness fell, Marina felt the enormity of what lay ahead, but also the strength within herself to face it. The legacy of silent accuracy was far from over. The sun had barely risen over Naval Station Coronado when Marina stepped into the armory, the cold steel of the room a stark contrast to the warmth of the early morning light outside. The air was thick with anticipation and the faint scent of lubricated metal. Rows of weapons gleamed under fluorescent lights, their polished surfaces reflecting the seriousness of the task ahead. Today marked the beginning of her deployment preparations, a transition from training exercises to the reality of covert operations. Master Chief Cross greeted her with a nod. "This is where theory meets action, Marina. Your equipment, your tools, your lifeline. Marina approached a locker and began methodically checking the gear assigned to her. A custom-built sniper rifle with modular components, sidearms with advanced safety mechanisms, and an array of tactical accessories designed for versatility. As she inspected the rifle's barrel, a faint vibration hummed through the stock, a biometric sensor syncing with her unique signature. The rifle was alive, connected through encrypted networks to Mission Command, capable of delivering real-time data. Foster entered, clipboard in hand, his face set in a determined expression. "You'll be using this in the field. It's state-of-the-art but unforgiving. Maintenance and precision are non-negotiable." Marina nodded, adjusting the scope and testing the balance. It felt familiar, like an old friend newly sharpened for the fight. The briefing room awaited, a sanctuary of maps, digital overlays, and strategy boards. Admiral Wells stood before a group of select officers, their faces etched with focus and gravity. "Operation Silent Horizon," Wells announced, voice resonant, "is a high-risk insertion into hostile territory. Marina Reyes will lead the sniper support team, providing overwatch intelligence and precision strikes as needed." Marina's pulse quickened. This was the moment when preparation met purpose. Cross stepped forward. "Your mission is to observe, protect, and, when necessary, engage with surgical accuracy. Every shot must count, but every decision must be measured." Marina listened intently as the operational parameters unfolded. A web of political tension, enemy insurgencies, and fragile alliances. The days before deployment were a whirlwind of simulations and last-minute training. The team Marina would lead was a tight-knit group of operators, each skilled but aware of the challenges ahead. Among them was Lieutenant Knox West, the tactical analyst whose keen intellect had earned him a reputation for anticipating enemy movements before they occurred. "Ms. Reyes," West said one evening, reviewing maps and satellite images, "this mission will test your ability to adapt. Intelligence is fragmented and terrain is unpredictable." Marina nodded, tracing the route with a steady finger. "We'll need to move silently, observe relentlessly, and strike decisively." The weight of responsibility settled over her, but so did a fierce determination. On the eve of departure, Marina stood alone on the base's highest vantage point, the Pacific Ocean stretching endlessly beneath a sky scattered with stars. She touched the silver trident pendant around her neck, a keepsake from her mother, and a symbol of the legacy she now carried. The cool night breeze whispered promises of unknown dangers and unspoken sacrifices. Her phone buzzed, a secure message from Admiral Wells. "Trust your training. Trust yourself. The eyes of silent accuracy are upon you." Marina inhaled deeply, the calm before the storm. The insertion was under the cover of darkness. A Black Hawk helicopter sliced through the night sky, its rotors a muted thrum against the soundless sweep of the desert below. Marina's team was briefed one last time, the gravity of their mission sinking into every fiber of their being. Touching down near the target zone, they moved swiftly and silently through the rugged terrain, every sense heightened. Marina settled into her overwatch position atop a rocky outcrop, her rifle assembled and ready. The moon cast silver shadows as the team advanced into the heart of enemy territory. Every breath, every heartbeat was a countdown. The first contact was swift, a flicker of movement in the distance, a whisper of enemy patrols unaware of the silent eyes watching them. Marina tracked the targets, her scope magnifying their movements in crisp detail. She transmitted coordinates and observations to the team leader, guiding their advance with precision. A threat emerged suddenly, a sniper perched on a ridge, locking onto the team. Marina reacted instantly, calculating wind, distance, and movement. The shot rang out, a bullet finding its mark before the enemy could fire. A tense moment passed. The team pressed forward, In the following hours, the mission unfolded like a deadly chess match. Moves and counter-moves, calculated risks, and split-second decisions. Marina's role was pivotal. Her calm under pressure and flawless marksmanship saved lives more than once. Yet, as dawn approached, an unexpected complication arose. A civilian child wandered into the operation zone, crying and confused. Marina's finger tensed on the trigger, but she held. "Hold your fire," she whispered into the comms. The team altered their tactics, extracting the child to safety. The weight of such moments was a reminder. The line between hunter and protector was razor thin. As sunlight crept over the horizon, the team reached their objective, a hidden cache of weapons and intelligence. Mission success was declared, but the cost was heavy. Exhaustion, tension, and the haunting knowledge of dangers yet to come. Marina allowed herself a brief moment of reflection, the legacy she carried as heavy as the rifle on her back. She was not just firing a weapon, she was firing for every silent sacrifice made before her. The shadows of silent accuracy stretched long into the new day. The sun had fully risen over the rugged landscape as Marina and her team set up a temporary command post in the heart of the operational zone. The earlier night's success was tempered by the exhaustion that clung to every muscle and the weight of decisions yet to come. Marina pulled off her gloves and wiped sweat from her brow, her eyes scanning the cracked earth and sparse vegetation. The desert seemed unyielding, indifferent to the struggles unfolding across its expanse. Captain Foster approached, his gaze sharp but carrying an undercurrent of concern. "Intel suggests we're not alone out here. Enemy reinforcements could be inbound within hours." Marina nodded, her mind already running through contingency plans. "We need to secure the perimeter and prepare for extraction. Stay alert." The team dispersed, moving efficiently to establish a defensive perimeter around the post. Marina's role shifted from sharpshooter to strategist as she coordinated communications, oversaw security, and maintained constant observation through her scope. Hours passed in tense vigilance. The desert sun climbed higher, baking the earth and drawing shadows into sharp relief. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Marina's eye, a dust cloud rising beyond the ridgeline, growing rapidly. "Contacts approaching," she whispered into her radio. "Prepare for engagement." The team readied their weapons, hearts pounding in rhythm with the rising threat. Enemy combatants emerged, a wave of aggression fueled by determination and desperation. Gunfire erupted, echoing across the barren landscape as bullets tore through the air. Marina's fingers tightened on her rifle, each shot measured and deliberate. Targets fell one after another, her marksmanship carving a path of safety for her team, but the enemy was relentless. Amidst the chaos, a sudden blast rocked the perimeter, an explosion near the command post, sending shockwaves through the dust and heat. Marina was thrown to the ground, ears ringing as debris rained around her. Coughing, she scrambled to her feet, scanning for injured teammates. Captain Foster shouted over the gunfire, rallying the team to regroup. The firefight intensified, the desert becoming a battleground where skill and will clashed in a brutal contest. Marina felt the weight of leadership settle heavily upon her shoulders. Every decision now carried the lives of those she led. Through the haze of smoke and noise, she spotted a figure moving erratically, a civilian caught in the crossfire. Instinct and training collided. Her finger hovered over the trigger, but she held. "Hold fire! Civilian in sight!" she barked. The team adjusted, moving to extract the vulnerable figure safely. The fight raged on, but the moment of mercy lingered, a reminder of the fine line they all walked. As the sun began its descent, the enemy forces withdrew, leaving a scarred but standing command post. The team gathered, exhaustion etched into their faces, but pride shining in their eyes. Marina looked around at those who had fought beside her, companions forged in fire. A message crackled through the radio. Extraction inbound, prepare for evac. Relief washed over the group, tempered by the knowledge that the mission's dangers were far from over. The flight back to base was silent, the weight of the operation settling like a shroud over Marina. Admiral Wells awaited their return, her presence a steady anchor amidst the swirling aftermath. "Your performance was exemplary," she said quietly, "but the mission has revealed vulnerabilities we must address." Marina nodded, exhaustion mingling with resolve. "What's next?" Wells's gaze was steady, almost somber. "The program will intensify. The challenges ahead will test you beyond marksmanship. You must prepare for shadows within and without." Marina met her eyes, understanding the unspoken truth. The battlefield was not just external. That evening, Marina retreated to her quarters, the silence a stark contrast to the day's chaos. She pulled out the faded photograph of her mother, tracing the lines of a face she barely remembered but deeply revered. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. A secure message from Cross. "Meet me at the range at 0500. We need to talk." Marina's breath caught. The shadows of the program were lengthening. At dawn, Marina arrived at the deserted range, greeted only by the cool morning air and the distant calls of seabirds. Cross awaited her, face unreadable. "We need to discuss your psychological profile," Cross said. "There are anomalies, signs of strain that you may not be aware of." Marina frowned. "I feel focused." Cross shook her head gently. "Focus is one thing. The program can awaken fears and doubts buried deep. You must confront them before they consume you." The conversation turned to the hidden cost of legacy, the burden of expectation, the fear of failure, the isolation of command. Marina listened, the truth settling like a stone in her chest. Cross's voice softened. "You're not alone, but you must be honest with yourself and with those around you." Days later, a classified briefing was convened to assess the broader implications of the mission's outcome. Marina sat among high-ranking officials and intelligence analysts, their faces masks of professionalism hiding deeper concerns. A senior strategist addressed the group. "The success of Operation Silent Horizon opens new possibilities, but also raises red flags. The enemy's response shows increasing sophistication. We must evolve our tactics accordingly." Marina's role was evolving too, from student to leader, from markswoman to strategist. Her thoughts drifted to the future, a future where the legacy of silent accuracy was not just preserved but expanded. As dusk settled, Marina stood once more on the edge of the range, the ocean's steady rhythm a balm to her restless mind. She clasped the silver trident pendant, feeling the pulse of generations beneath her fingertips. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but her resolve was unwavering. She was no longer just a bearer of a legacy, she was becoming its living embodiment. The shadows within awaited, but Marina Reyes was ready. The briefing room was tense, the air thick with anticipation and unspoken questions. Marina sat at the head of the table, flanked by Admiral Wells, Captain Foster and Master Chief Cross. Around them, the faces of intelligence officers and mission planners were drawn tight with concern. "Operation Silent Horizon has achieved its immediate objectives," Wells began, her voice steady but edged with caution. "However, we've encountered resistance that suggests the enemy has adapted more quickly than we anticipated." A senior analyst stepped forward, projecting satellite images and intercepted communications on the screen behind him. New patrol routes, increased electronic countermeasures, and evidence of enhanced sniper teams operating in the region, he explained. "They're learning." Marina listened carefully. This was no longer a simple mission of overwatch and precision shooting. It had become a battle of wits, technology, and survival. Foster leaned forward. "We need to adapt our tactics. Marina, your role will expand. You'll be coordinating intelligence gathering with direct action, working closely with reconnaissance teams to anticipate enemy movements." Marina's mind raced. The stakes were higher, the margin for error thinner. "I'm ready," she said firmly. Cross nodded approvingly. "Good. But remember, this will test more than your skills. It will challenge your judgment and your will." Later that day, Marina met with Lieutenant Knox West to review new tactical protocols. West's reputation for analytical precision was well earned, and his demeanor was coolly professional. "Marina, your ability to synthesize real-time intelligence will be critical," he said, spreading out maps and drone feed footage. "We're deploying advanced surveillance drones to provide continuous coverage, but human judgment remains essential." He pointed to several hotspots on the map. "Enemy movements here and here indicate potential ambush points. You'll need to coordinate closely with ground teams to provide sniper support during extractions and assaults." Marina absorbed the information, her mind weaving the complex web of variables into a coherent plan. As night fell, Marina found herself alone in her quarters, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily. She opened her mother's worn journal, tracing the familiar handwriting. "Every shot carries a choice," the entry read, "not just of target but of consequence. Remember, the greatest precision lies not in the bullet, but in the mind behind it." Marina's fingers trembled slightly as she closed the book. The legacy was a living thing, demanding, unyielding. A secure message interrupted her thoughts. A video call from Admiral Wells. "Marina," Wells said, her tone urgent, "we have a new development. The enemy has captured a high-value asset, a source critical to our intelligence network." Marina's eyes narrowed. "What's the extraction plan?" Wells's expression was grim. "It's classified, but you'll be involved. This will be your most dangerous mission yet." Preparation for the extraction consumed the following days. Marina trained relentlessly, reviewing layouts, simulating scenarios, and coordinating with the assault and reconnaissance teams. Her team was small but elite. Operators hand-picked for their skill and experience. Trust was paramount. The night before deployment, Marina stood on the base's edge, staring into the starlit sky. The ocean's steady pulse was a faint comfort against the storm inside her. She touched the silver trident pendant, drawing strength from generations before her. "This is for you, Mom," she whispered. Deployment was swift and silent. The insertion was by night, the team moving through dense jungle terrain toward the enemy compound. Marina took her position high in the canopy, her rifle assembled and ready. Her role was clear: provide overwatch, identify threats, and deliver precise fire to protect the extraction team. The mission unfolded with tense precision. Enemy patrols moved unpredictably, but Marina's keen eyes caught every movement. Suddenly, gunfire erupted below. A firefight had broken out. Marina's finger tightened on the trigger. Targets appeared, hostile combatants, aiming to block the extraction. One shot, two shots, each bullet finding its mark with deadly accuracy. Her team pressed forward under cover, the extraction point drawing nearer. Amid the chaos, a sudden explosion rocked the perimeter. Marina's heart leapt. An ambush. The enemy was using guerrilla tactics, hit and run, blending with the environment. Her mind raced, calculating wind shifts, elevation and timing. Every shot became a calculated decision in the swirling maelstrom. Through the smoke and confusion, she spotted a figure, an enemy sniper aiming at her team leader. Marina steadied her breath and fired, a single shot that saved a life. The extraction was completed with heavy casualties, but the asset was secured. Back at base, Marina was met with solemn nods and quiet gratitude. Admiral Wells approached her later in the briefing room. "You did well," Wells said quietly, "but this mission has changed everything. We are now in a new phase where shadows grow deeper and the price of failure rises." Marina met her gaze. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." The legacy of silent accuracy was evolving, and Marina Reyes was at its heart. The morning sunlight spilled through the narrow windows of the operations center, casting sharp patterns on the cold steel surfaces and digital displays. Marina Reyes sat at the head of the briefing table, a dossier of intelligence reports and satellite imagery spread before her. The weight of her new responsibilities settled heavily on her shoulders, but her gaze remained steady and resolute. Admiral Caroline Wells stood to one side, her presence commanding but not overbearing. The room was filled with officers and analysts, their faces a mix of determination and apprehension. "We're entering a critical phase," Wells announced. "The enemy is evolving, leveraging asymmetric tactics and electronic warfare to disrupt our operations. Our response must be equally adaptive." Marina listened intently as the details unfolded. The enemy's network had expanded, their capabilities enhanced by foreign support and clandestine resources. The intelligence indicated a series of planned attacks targeting not just military assets but civilian infrastructure, a calculated escalation designed to destabilize the region. Captain Miles Foster, standing beside Marina, tapped a touchscreen to reveal a map dotted with red and yellow markers. "Our window for preemptive action is narrowing. We must neutralize high-value targets to disrupt their command structure." Marina's mind raced. The stakes had never been higher. "We're deploying a multi-tiered task force," Wells continued. "Marina Reyes will lead the sniper support element, coordinating with reconnaissance and assault teams to provide overwatch and precision engagement." A murmur of approval rippled through the room. Marina's fingers traced the projected routes and objectives. "We'll need enhanced surveillance and rapid intel dissemination to respond dynamically. I'll coordinate with Lieutenant Knox West for real-time data fusion." West nodded, stepping forward. "Our drone assets and SIGINT teams are ready. We'll feed you a continuous stream of tactical information. Over the next several days, preparations accelerated. Marina's team drilled relentlessly, refining their tactics and rehearsing complex scenarios. The integration of cutting-edge technology with traditional marksmanship demanded new skills and a heightened level of situational awareness. In late-night sessions, Marina pored over intelligence data with West and Cross, piecing together the enemy's operational patterns. They uncovered clues hinting at a deeper network of insurgent cells and sleeper agents embedded within civilian populations. The psychological toll was palpable. Marina found herself wrestling with the dual burdens of command and the legacy she upheld. She sought solace in her mother's journal, the words a steady beacon amid uncertainty. "Precision without purpose is hollow," Diana had written. "True marksmanship is as much about the mind as the weapon." As deployment day approached, the team gathered for a final briefing. The operation was codenamed Silent Storm. The insertion point was a mountainous region, rugged and remote. The mission: infiltrate enemy strongholds, dismantle command nodes, and extract critical intelligence, all under the cover of darkness. Marina stood before her team, her voice calm but firm. "This is a high-risk operation. Our success depends on coordination, precision, and discipline. Each of you plays a vital role." Her gaze swept the room, landing on each member. "Trust in your training and in each other." The room filled with nods of resolve. Under the cloak of night, the task force moved silently through dense forests and jagged terrain. The only sounds were the crunch of boots on dry leaves and the distant call of nocturnal wildlife. Marina took position atop a rocky outcrop, the familiar weight of her rifle steady in her hands. Her eyes scanned the darkened valley below, the scope's reticle settling on targets invisible to the naked eye. The first shots rang out, quiet, precise, and deadly. Each pull of the trigger was a calculated strike against those who threatened peace. But the enemy was prepared. An ambush awaited deeper in the valley, a trap designed to isolate and overwhelm. Gunfire erupted in chaotic bursts. The team scrambled for cover, returning fire with practiced efficiency. Marina's scope tracked the movement of hostiles, guiding her teammates with sharp, measured shots. Amid the chaos, a sudden explosion rocked the ground nearby. Debris and dust clouded the air. Marina's heart pounded. She saw a fellow operative down, motionless. Pain and fury ignited within her. She adjusted her position, covering the wounded with suppressive fire. The firefight raged into the early hours, a brutal contest of skill, will, and endurance. As dawn broke, the team regrouped, the cost of the night's battle etched on every face. Marina knelt beside the injured operative, relief flooding her as signs of life returned. Admiral Wells's voice crackled through the radio. "Extraction team en route. Hold position." Marina exhaled slowly, the immediate danger receding, but the mission far from over. Back at base, Marina debriefed with Wells, Foster, and Cross. The mission was a success, but the intelligence recovered hinted at even greater threats looming on the horizon. Wells's gaze was heavy with the burden of command. "This war is far from over, but with operatives like you, Marina, we hold the line." Marina nodded, the trident pendant around her neck catching the light, a symbol of legacy, sacrifice, and unwavering resolve. The conference room at Naval Station Coronado was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that precedes decisive moments. Marina Reyes stood at the center, surrounded by a cadre of high-ranking officers, strategists, and intelligence analysts. The weight of months of preparation, combat, and sacrifice bore down on her, yet her posture remained resolute, her gaze unwavering. Admiral Carolyn Wells addressed the assembly with measured authority. "Today, we recognize not just a mission accomplished, but the embodiment of a legacy. Silent accuracy reborn in Marina Reyes. Her skills and leadership have set new standards for covert operations." Marina's eyes scanned the room, noting the faces of those who had been part of her journey, mentors like Master Chief Cross, comrades forged in fire, and the skeptics turned believers. Each had witnessed the transformation from trainee to operative, from shadow to force. A screen lit up behind Wells, displaying images from recent operations, precision strikes, intelligence recoveries, and moments of quiet sacrifice. The legend of Diana Morrison, once buried in secrecy, now stood alongside the living testament of her daughter. Marina stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. "I stand here not just as an operative, but as a custodian of a legacy built on precision, discipline, and sacrifice. The road has been arduous, but it is a path I walk with honor." Her words echoed through the room, carrying the weight of generations. Later, Marina found herself alone on the range, the Pacific breeze cool against her skin. The sun dipped low, casting golden hues across the terrain. She assembled her rifle with practiced hands, the familiar weight comforting amid the uncertainties ahead. Master Chief Cross joined her silently, her gaze thoughtful. "You've done well, Marina," Cross said softly, "but remember, legacy is not just about skill, it's about the choices we make when no one is watching." Marina nodded, the lessons of the past etched deep within her. As night fell, Marina received a secure communication, a message from an unknown source within the Pentagon. "The journey is far from over. Your next steps will define not just your path, but the future of silent accuracy." Marina's fingers brushed the silver trident pendant, a symbol of her mother's enduring presence. She exhaled, embracing the uncertainty and the promise of what was to come. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of preparation and reflection. Marina Reyes found herself thrust into a new role, not only as a leading operative in the Silent Accuracy program, but as a symbol of its rebirth and promise. The training shifted focus from combat to mentorship, as Marina began instructing the next generation of marksmen and women. Her presence at the range was a beacon, drawing young recruits eager to learn the lessons she carried, not just of precision and discipline, but of sacrifice and legacy. One afternoon, standing before a group of attentive trainees, Marina recounted a story from her mother's journal, a passage that had always resonated deeply. "The greatest shot is the one you don't have to take," she read aloud. "True mastery lies in knowing when silence speaks louder than a bullet." The recruits listened, captivated not just by her skill, but by the wisdom woven through her words. Yet beneath the surface of calm, the shadows of conflict still lingered. Political machinations and covert threats loomed beyond the horizon. The legacy Marina bore was both a shield and a target. Late one evening, Marina received an encrypted message. It was a summons, a call to action that could not be ignored. Admiral Welles's voice filled the secure line. "We have intel on a developing threat, a faction aiming to destabilize the region through a series of coordinated attacks. Your expertise is required." Marina felt the familiar rush of adrenaline mingled with the gravity of duty. "I'll be ready." The operation was swift and decisive. Marina's team infiltrated hostile territory, neutralizing key targets and disrupting plans with surgical precision. Every move was calculated, every shot deliberate. During a critical moment, Marina found herself facing an enemy sniper, a mirror image of the legacy she carried. The two exchanged silent communication across the distance, breaths held, eyes locked through crosshairs. Time slowed. Marina steadied her breath, recalled the lessons of restraint and purpose. She fired. The shot echoed. A clean, decisive end. Returning to base, Marina was greeted with quiet respect and the knowledge that the mission's success had prevented catastrophe. In the days that followed, she reflected on the journey, from the girl left in silence to the woman who had reclaimed a legacy. Standing once more at the overlook, the ocean stretching vast and eternal, Marina clasped the silver trident pendant. Her mother's voice seemed to whisper on the breeze. "You carry more than a rifle, Marina. You carry the hopes and sacrifices of generations." Marina smiled softly. The legacy was not just hers to bear, it was hers to pass on. The sun set over Naval Station Coronado, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Marina Reyes, sharpshooter, leader, and custodian of silent accuracy, was prepared for whatever the future held. Because some legacies are eternal and some shots echo beyond time. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over Naval Station Coronado, Marina Reyes stood quietly on the overlook, her silhouette outlined against the vast Pacific Ocean. The wind whispered softly through the palm trees, carrying with it memories of battles fought, sacrifices made, and a legacy reborn. Her journey had been anything but ordinary, a path marked by loss, determination, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. From the first hesitant steps as a civilian seeking permission to honor her mother to becoming the embodiment of the silent accuracy program's rebirth, Marina had transformed herself into a symbol of strength, precision, and unwavering commitment. The silver trident pendant she wore around her neck caught the fading light, its polished surface reflecting the colors of the setting sun. It was more than a piece of jewelry. It was a beacon of hope, a reminder of the sacrifices made by generations before her and a promise to those who would follow. Behind her, the base hummed with life. Soldiers preparing for new missions, instructors mentoring eager recruits, and the steady rhythm of military life that never truly ceased. Marina could feel the pulse of the place, the heartbeat of a community bound by shared purpose and sacrifice. She thought of her mother, Diana Morrison, the woman whose shadow had loomed large over her life. A legend in her own right, Diana had forged a path of honor and excellence, often in silence and secrecy. Her disappearance had been a wound Marina carried deeply, a source of pain and inspiration alike. Yet, in reclaiming that legacy, Marina had found not just purpose, but family, in the people she trained, the missions she led, and the silent bonds that tied her to those who came before and those yet to come. Her mind wandered back to the earliest days of training, the moments of doubt and fear, the relentless drills that tested her body and spirit. She remembered the mentors, Admiral Wells, Captain Foster, Master Chief Cross, who had seen potential in her when others doubted. Their guidance had been a steady hand, their faith a foundation on which she built herself anew. Marina smiled softly, recalling the faces of the recruits she now led, young men and women hungry to prove themselves, eager to carry the torch forward. They were the future, and in them she saw reflections of her own journey, the same fire, the same resolve. She knew the path ahead would not be easy. Shadows still lingered. Threats both seen and unseen, challenges that would test the limits of skill and spirit. But Marina was ready, not just with weapons or tactics, but with heart. Turning from the overlook, she walked toward the range, where the sun had left a trail of amber light on the concrete. The sounds of gunfire echoed faintly, a reminder that the legacy she carried was alive, breathing, and evolving. She paused by the rifle rack, her fingers brushing the familiar cold metal. This was her life now, a balance of silence and action, precision and passion. A voice called from behind, a young recruit seeking guidance. Marina turned, her smile warm and genuine. "Remember," she said softly, "every shot you take carries a responsibility, not just to your target, but to yourself and those who rely on you. Carry that weight with honor." The recruit nodded, eyes shining with determination. As Marina watched him move into position, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey had been long and fraught with sacrifice, but the legacy was secure. Because some legacies transcend time, they echo in the hearts of those who carry them forward, and some stories, once whispered in the shadows, become beacons of hope and strength for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey with Marina Reyes and the legacy of silent accuracy. If this story touched you, inspired you, or moved you in any way, please take a moment to like and subscribe to Veteran Biker. Your support helps us bring these powerful, untold stories to light. Where are you watching from? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. We love hearing from our community and learning how these tales resonate with you. There are many more incredible stories waiting for you right here on Veteran Biker. Click on the videos appearing on your screen now to continue exploring the depths of courage, resilience, and the human spirit. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and keep the stories alive.